Hey, today is Tech Talk Tuesday. My name is Michael Dumont, and today I'm going to be covering how to plan for your first video podcast episode. I'll help you figure out how to go ahead and map out your show, how to develop your script so that you can keep people engaged throughout the entire process, and also share my process with you from how I plan the show from start to finish. I'll be live today at 5:30 Central Standard Time.
You are muted. Just want to let you know for your 2D business.
That's been frequent the past few weeks. Hey, everybody, this is Michael Devon with WeMerge Media, and today is Tech Talk Tuesday. And today we're here to talk to you about how to go ahead and get started with the first episode of your podcast. So I had to bring in some reinforcements today. Michaela is here with me. Hey, Michaela, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. How's our people? I see we have some likes and we have some eyeballs out there. So go ahead and give us that confirmation. Let us know that you can hear us and that you can see us. And if you're new, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you can continue to receive notifications on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and give this video a like. And I'll also give this video a share because I think the information that we share with you today is going to be helpful for people that you are in business with, people you're in business with, people you know in business. This is going to be useful information for anybody who is an entrepreneur and is creating things that you need to spread the word about. So we're going to be doing a little bit of screen sharing today. I had to invite Kayla up because I am going to be looking at my slides and getting my comments going. So she's going to be managing the comments and everything for us. But let me just first go ahead and get my screen ready. And then I know, as you know, last week I mentioned that we crossed 500 subscribers on YouTube. By the way, I want to thank y'all again for that. We are there. And just today, I actually saw that they made my community tab open. So now I can start planning for the next episode where I want to actually show you what happens when you reach 500 subscribers on YouTube. What new features do you get access to? What you get access to is the community tab that allows you to be able to do some pretty cool things. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. So let me go ahead and get my slide ready here real quick. And thanks, Michaela, for joining me today so that I can focus. And then I know that everything else is off and running. So let me go ahead and get that here. So let's see. If you're new, go ahead and just let us know in the comments that you're new. Introduce yourself to the community because we're family here. We get together every week and we go through this. We talk about something new every time. So there we go. Enter full screen mode. Is that the one? Let me make sure. So I'm gonna just do a real quick check on my phone to make sure that you're seeing what I need you to see. Okay, cool. We're there. And let me come here. Here. Okay, cool. Okay. All right. So again, welcome to Tech Talk. My name is Michael Dumont. And every week I go live now at 4:30 Mountain Standard Time because I know a lot of you are working during the day. You have businesses to run during the day. And I got some requests for people to go later in the day rather than earlier in the day so that more people can tune in. So every week I go live on Tuesdays to share some tips with you about how you can use technology to work smarter and not harder. For the past 20 years, I've been working with small businesses of all sizes, helping them, and it comes in the area of digital marketing, work as a coach and a consultant. I've worked on public health campaigns. I've worked on tech businesses, service-based businesses. But 2 years ago, I decided to come from behind my computer screen and make myself more visible. So that's when I started Tech Talk Tuesday. That's when I started doing YouTube. And I'm like, you know what? I really enjoy this. I was always speaking at events and speaking at conferences, training, but I never really promoted myself. So I decided a couple of years ago, as I mentioned, to be able to kind of switch things up a little bit, reach more people. And one of the ways that I'm doing that is through video podcasting. And that's what's kind of driven me to where I am today, to be able to talk to some of you about some of the advantages and the benefits of why podcasting is important, especially for you as a business owner. Now, if you weren't here last week, I talked about the pre-planning part before you get to the episode. Really, just share some information with people about the value of getting into this. One of the things that I think is important is that a lot of people I know, especially in our audience, worry about the technology. And by the end of this, I'm going to let you know a number of different ways that you can get the help that you need so that you aren't missing out on the people that need to hear from you. So one of the things that I've learned from doing this is that this is one of the best ways that I really have experienced in a long time that you have to be able to reach people. And not only that, but in order to be discoverable by the people who need you. There's a difference between that. There's a difference between just kind of throwing information out there, but then there's also the part that allows people who need the products and the services that you offer to discover and to find you. So when I think about doing this work, I'm thinking about the fact that many of you who are here in the audience have a gift, have a talent. You have something that you're doing that's going to be useful for someone. So if you aren't putting yourself on a platform that's going to allow people to find you, or if your message is not getting out there, you're not going to be able to serve the people that you need to serve. So video podcasting to me is how I use it and why I use it. And it's the same thing for you. I believe that you'll get a lot of value out of it once you get over the initial fears and get that first episode out. Now, when I talk about video podcasting, I'm talking about it from the perspective of an entrepreneur who needs to do one of three things, sometimes all three things. If you're in a service-based business, maybe you're a coach, maybe you're a consultant, maybe you're an educator, you have intellectual capital that is valuable to someone. And one of the best ways to get that intellectual capital out and to make yourself available is to be able to broadcast your message and reach more people. So we've never really had this kind of reach power in our hands. This was typically something reserved for the cable networks, radio stations, television. But now with just a click of a couple buttons and with our little phones here, we can do quite a bit and we can reach quite a few people. So if you are someone who could benefit from being a trusted voice in your industry on a specific topic or topics, this could be beneficial for you. Another way it's going to be beneficial for you is if you need to bring visibility to a personal brand. As I talked about before, I was doing a lot of work and I was always behind the computer screen, not really necessarily concerned about people getting to know me or any of that. But that's changed, and that has created tons of opportunities for me with people that I probably would have never reached had I not started leveraging this form of media. Last but not least, the third benefit of this, if you're going to do video podcasting, and why I think that this is beneficial for those of us who do this type of work, is that it's going to allow you, again, to connect to more people because it's going to put you in places that you normally would not be. Especially now, you consider the fact that we're in a pandemic and you're not traveling, you're not getting up on stages as much as you probably would have. You're not going to networking events like you would have before. So this is a good substitute for that, to be able to still continue to get your message out and to connect with people. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, before I get into the meat of things about the structure of the show, was just to give you a little bit of tips about a story arc. Filmmakers use this. People who write books use this. This is a great way for people to be able to write a story that's going to be engaging. So when you consider this model, and I'll talk you through it a little bit, it's a good thing to have in mind when you're actually writing out what you're going to talk about and when you're doing your outline. So think about your last movie that you watched, and I want you to think about that as I talk about this. So in the beginning, right, typically what happens, they introduce the characters, they set the plot, they set the stage for us, give us the scenery, let us know the time that it takes place. We're being introduced into this world, and then they're going to kind of take us on this journey. Now, as we go through the process and we get to the climax, which is the tense part, and you see as you're going up, that's called the rising action. When you're doing your storytelling and when you're doing your podcasting, you can kind of follow this curve in a way that's going to allow people to stick with you through the engagement. So things happen. We get introduced to the characters. Something goes wrong. They have problems that they need to solve. And then they get to this point of frustration where they have to do what? They have to make a decision. Now, the reason why I like this and how I tie this back to what we do is you have to think about the people who are on the other side of the camera and the microphone that you might be connecting with. What happens typically that leads us to go to Google or to go to YouTube to look for something? We ran into a problem. We're trying to find a solution. And that tension, that conflict gets us to this point where it's like, I need to make a decision and I need to do something. So once we make that decision, it's that comes down to the resolution. This is your customer's journey. Follow along with me. Once they get to that point and make that decision, now they're going to go through that process of exploring what are the options? What do I need to do? How do I get myself in alignment? And how do I connect with the people that I need to connect? Which is the resolution, which is you. So I know my movie buff fans are really going to love that scenario and how that all played out. But I wanted to kind of talk you through that so that you can kind of understand this path when you're plotting your show. So now I have maybe three main things that we're going to talk about today. The first thing is choosing your topic. Now, if you are here, you're talking about video podcasting, I already know you're an expert on something. There's something that you can talk about that you know well, that somebody needs your intellectual capital and would love to be able to find you, but they can't find you if you aren't doing the work to put yourself out there. So when it comes to choosing your topic, I want you to think about these three things. Talk about something that you know well, something that you can do with your eyes closed, something that may not necessarily require you to do a whole lot of extensive research. Because what that's gonna do is allow you to be more comfortable when you're on the camera or when you're on the mic, because you're not talking about something that you feel uncomfortable with. So think about your industry, think about the things that people come to you with frequently, ask for your advice and your guidance on, and consider those things as topics. Remember the story arc. Who are the characters who are going to be searching for you in your content? What problems are they having? And then what resolution can you give them? So talk about something that's going to be in alignment with that story arc. Next thing I would suggest is for an episode, make each episode about a single subject. This is going to allow you to be able to go a little deeper in that topic rather than trying to cover multiple things, drawing it out, losing people in confusion, and then not being able to bring them to that resolution. So think about a single subject. Don't try to cover it all in that one episode. If you need to cover something in a series, then that's a great approach to it. Break it up in a part one and a part two if you need to. The other part of choosing your topic is that you have to ask yourself, does anybody care about this? Because what kind of story will you enjoy if there are no characters? So if you come up with something that's just way too niche down, that nobody cares about, nobody is searching for, how are you gonna attract someone? Who is that audience gonna be? So when you're choosing your topic and you want to figure out, like, is this anything that people care about? Two simple things that you can do. Go to the platform that you plan on streaming to. I am coaching people on streaming to Facebook and YouTube. Through that, we'll also be able to get on some audio podcast platforms, but just simply go search. If I went and I did go on YouTube today and I searched for how to script a podcast or plan a podcast episode, thousands and thousands of views on videos. Same thing on Google. It auto-populated the suggestion that people were typing in, how to plan an episode, how to script an episode. That lets me know that somebody cares about that topic, and this is an area where I can insert my voice. Now, one thing that I will say on this is that a lot of times I know you think, well, all these videos are already out here and people are covering this topic. The thing you have to take in consideration, those people aren't you. Your voice is unique. Your life experiences are unique. Your face is unique, unless you got a twin. But your perspective is going to be different. So there are people who are going to be attracted to you and want to get your opinion on it. So don't let the fact that there are a lot of different videos and content out there already keep you away from speaking on that topic, especially a topic that you know well. So number two, make an outline. I started today's show simply by opening up a Google Doc. I woke up at like 3 o'clock this morning, wide awake. And I'm just like, okay, let me get the phone out and let me start kind of mapping out what today's show is going to be. So again, starting with your topic, whether it's pen and paper, whether it's electronic, I go to electronic eventually, and I recommend you do too, because whatever you put in that document pretty much kind of serves as your plan and your description and all your keywords that you need to fill out the rest of the stuff down the line. This is going to be that thing that you can just copy and paste from. But if you need to start with paper and pen and write it down and then later turn it electronically, feel free to do so. But make your outline, and some guidelines around the outline is, again, to think about the audience, think about the resolution. So think about who you're talking to, think about the resolution you want to bring them to, and then fill in the gaps. So I knew today that I have people who are in my video podcasting for beginners group who have not produced an episode, who want to produce an episode, but don't know how to necessarily get there. So while all I had to do today was pick a topic, which was going to take them from point A to point Z, and which is producing that first episode. So I know at the end of this, you'll have enough information to be able to pick a topic, grab something to write out your outline, pick your starting point, pick your end point. And because you pick a topic that you are knowledgeable in, you'll be able to fill in those gaps between. Okay. So think about those points that people have to go through. What is the conflict that they're dealing with? And what resolution do you have to bring them down from that point and bring them down to a place where they're going to feel good? Okay. So consider that. Now, I know this one here, this is my climax point, because I know this is the part that frustrates most of you, and that's creating your assets. Now, when it comes to doing this, your assets are going to be some of the most important things. And I'm going to explain to you why your creative assets are going to be important. So the thumbnail. Now, to most of us, you see a thumbnail and you just think, oh, it's just an image with a picture and some words on it. But again, thinking about our storyline, what's going to grab people's attention? Before they even get to hear your voice, to see your personality, you need to have something that's going to be that grabber, something that's going to get their attention. So you'll notice on a lot of the thumbnails of my videos, I use large text. I put a picture relevant to the topic, and then I'll put a picture of me on there usually. And that kind of sets the stage to say, hey, okay, anybody who resonates with what's on here, that's going to be my initial hook that's going to grab their attention. But my work's not done. The next part is once they click play, I have to think about this from the viewer perspective. Once they click play, what do I need to do in that initial moment to keep them there and get them to hear what I have to say? So let's take this episode, for example. Now, live streaming and recording are a little bit different. When I'm live streaming, I'm more into kind of creating a scene. So there's my plot in the beginning. I'm creating the scene with the music that you hear, the graphics that you see. But if I'm doing a recording, sometimes I kind of bypass that and I just go right to what is the problem? What is the problem that needs to be resolved? So you'll notice after the intro music today, what did I do? I played a clip setting up what this show was going to be about. So anybody within the first 30 seconds of the video that I release can hear that and can decide at that moment if this is for them and if it's not for them. Okay. So I'm setting the expectation. I'm talking about the resolution and giving them an opportunity to decide, okay, let me stick around. So if you're still here and you stuck around, let's go into some of these other elements. So I talked about music and how music plays a part. I'm also going to talk about creative assets as your slide deck and your presentation, because once you get to that point where you have people's attention, the information that you're sharing from here on is really kind of guiding them through. Now, I talked about the creative assets, this being kind of like my tension point, where I know some of you are like, oh, like, I don't know how to do this. I don't do that. Stop all that. I have a resolution that I'm going to be covering once we get to the end of this, and we can solve it. It's good. I'm going to let you know. But I know that this is a point that people either stop and turn back, or they like, you know what, I'm making a decision and I'm going. Okay. So when you're doing this and you're thinking about your creative assets, here's my tip for you. Think about talking about to a client or for consultation, or thinking about that you were invited to a stage to do a presentation. What do you need to have with you to convey your message and to get the point across? Whatever that is outside of the thumbnail, music depends on how you're broadcasting. But whatever you need to help you communicate, those are the things that you're going to want to bring to the table. So let's just talk a little bit about, okay, I get it. I know I'm going to need these things. Up until this point, if you think about it, your outline's done and you follow those steps, you're pretty much good to go. Everything that I'm talking about right here are something that if you don't have the skill set to do, we can do, or you can outsource to somebody else to get done. Okay. So the part that we can't do is the expertise, the knowledge. That's yours. Can't do nothing about that. I can help you make it pretty, package it up, and distribute it, but it ain't mine to know. It's yours to know. So that's where you come in. But once you get to this point, there are a number of different options of ways to be able to get these things done. So again, let me remind you that the video podcasting challenge, there's a couple of different ways that you can get started in this. I'm personally on a mission to get 100 people launched broadcasting this year so that you can do something like Tech Talk Tuesday for the reasons that I talked about before: building a personal brand, extending your reach, creating your voice in your industry as a topic expert, all of that stuff. So, what are the ways that you can get involved? Number one is that we have a podcast coaching program. So that is available to anybody who feels like they need to have some guidance, some structure, some recorded courses, access to technical support. You'll be part of a group who's going to get access to those lessons and to that kind of support. Well, we will take you through that process. Now, we have it set up for 60 days, but you're welcome to kind of go through and go at your own pace. Whatever you decide, the courses and everything are pre-recorded. We have one live course every week. So you can come to that, or you can watch the recording if you need to and catch up. But there's a number of ways that you can kind of go through that process. Then I know that I have my favorite people who are like, Mike, I don't want to do none of that. And they like do it. And that's the VIP package. So what that's going to do is going to get you access to everything that I talked about in the general package. But then we're going to make your show graphics for you. We're going to make a trailer for your channel. So those creative assets that I know some of you struggle with and don't want to have to deal with, that's going to be done for you in the VIP package. Now, some of you might be hearing this for the first time, or you might not quite be ready to launch within the next 3 months or so. I would recommend you go over to Facebook and join our group. It's free. It's private, but it's free. It's the Video Podcasting for Beginners. So what that group is that's where I have a lot of educational content, just basic resources, things that are going to help you understand this industry and how you might use this a little bit better before you commit to going to one of the coaching packages and going to the next level. Okay. So I am going to come back over, see if we have any questions at all. Michaela, this is where I'm going to need you if we had any comments or anything that come in. So what do we have here? Jojo Pa. Hey, Jojo Pa, good evening. Happy Tuesday. Choosing a topic is essential. Yes. And it's much easier if you choose something that's and you're comfortable with, something that is natural for you to talk about. So I know y'all got gifts. I see them, I hear them, but there's other people that need them too. And we need your voice to be out here so that they can get that. So that's going to be important for you to use it for this reason. I'm unique. Exactly. It don't matter how many people are doing it. Perfect example. I know Carmen recently tagged me in a post where I did a video about a cruise ship, this new cruise ship for Norwegian Cruise Lines, and she was sharing it with the group. And there's tons of videos out there about this cruise ship. Yet I was still able to get thousands of people watching that video. So don't ever feel like your uniqueness, your individuality is not important to somebody, because it is. Good one, Wendy. Thanks for that. Any other ones we got here? Vana, hey, how's it going? How's it going? Hope you staying warm out there in Wisconsin. I always create a program flow for my live broadcast, and this becomes a framework for adding photos and memes to my videos. Exactly. So once you have that outline, you can review that outline and kind of go back and figure it out. Like, okay, where can I kind of add some things into this that are going to kind of up the production value and the engagement and get people a little more interested? Again, if it's not you, there are people that you can outsource that service to and get that done for you. Okay. Is there a time limit we should consider for each segment? Intro, peak, close. Ooh, good question. So this is going to vary. So like I typically schedule 30 minutes for Tech Talk, and how far? I don't even know where we are right now. We're 24 minutes in. So I actually find that most of my shows are about anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. And I would say, like, if you can keep it under that 30 minutes, people's attention span, the fact that how much time are they really going to give you? Some topics people are willing to stick to and go deeper on, really kind of depending on what it is. But I would aim for about 15 to 20 minutes, because ultimately what you want to do is introduce something that's going to be discoverable for the people who need it. Let them know that you have a solution, and then get them to contact you or connect with you or take that next action. So that's the way that I suggest using this information, is to position yourself to receive the people who need you. So 15, 20 minutes. Today, there was a new feature inside of StreamYard where I saw that they now have where you can play music. So like we can play music in here now, which is pretty cool. That video was 2 minutes. So it all kind of depends on the topic, but I didn't need 15 minutes to talk about that feature. Just a 2 minute thing. Great question, Wendy. Kimberly, hey, checking in from Cali. How's it going? Thank you for tuning in. I know you were here last week for Tech Talk. How's it looking? Time goes very fast. It does, because when you get into the topic and talking about something that it's gone before you know it. So Providers Helper, thank you. That's very true. I tagged a few people that I believe would benefit from this. Thanks for making the information available. You're welcome, and thank you for sharing and tagging and subscribing and liking and all that good stuff. We truly appreciate it. Thank you. All right, where we at? We good? You see something? I think we're good. Okay, cool. So I know that this information is going to be helpful for those who need it. And if you did not need it, thank you at least for tuning in. Please share it with somebody who does. Next week, I think I'm going to talk about the new community tab now that I have access to it. So we might talk about that, what happens once you get your first 500 subscribers on YouTube. Also, the music thing, like I know some of y'all use the StreamYard, like I know I'm super geeked about something so simple, but man, that's cool, because I used to have to, after these shows, edit them, add music to them, and then re-upload them to YouTube. But now, Michaela, you want to put some music on for us and we don't have to worry about copyright violations for? When you use StreamYard, they added this background music feature that, while you're talking, I was thinking about you, Jojo Pie, and the Writers Cafe yesterday in Bond to Build. We had the Writers Cafe. Jojo Pie hosts this space where she puts on some cafe music. The screensaver is like candlelit cafe. There's books on the shelf, and it just creates like this calming scenery. There were 2 hours, I think, and like a few of us were in there hanging out. There were quite a few of us in there last night, but everybody's just doing their thing, writing, enjoying the moment. And I swear I was in a nice, cozy, fireplace lit cafe. So it was pretty cool to be able to recreate something that we typically would do in person virtually. And we did that last night. So the way that I'm talking now with this music, it allows you to add another production value element to whatever your broadcast is. And it saves you time from having to, in post-production, go back, figure out what music you can use and adding it too. So it's cool. I ain't gonna go all Barry White on y'all or nothing like that. I'm gonna let the music play us out. Background. Yeah, it's cool. It's a pretty cool feature. It's under the brand part. So that's our episode today. I really appreciate all of you for tuning in. Hope this information was helpful for you. Do one of those 3 things, get you the VIP coaching, join the Facebook group, or get the general. You go to wemergemedia.com. It's the first thing on the homepage. If you're inside of the Facebook group, you'll also see a guide in there for all the coaching packages. So there are ways to get it done. Let's get that first episode done for you. Okay. Thanks for tuning in for Tech Talk. Michaela, thank you for assisting.
Thanks for having me.
Making it one less thing that I have to do. All right, everybody, have a good night.